We got motion and change. We got cause and effect, possibility and necessity, a gradation of things, by which he means a hierarchy of perfection. And then we have the fifth way, which is one that we're all familiar with due to the debates between evolution and intelligent design, which is design in the world. Okay, so Thomas essentially is arguing here that all designs imply a designer. Since the universe is designed, that would seem to imply that there has to be an ultimate designer, someone with intelligence who could create something that's designed. And for Aquinas, this is what we would call God. Okay, so here is an outline of the form that each of the five ways takes. Essentially, Thomas Aquinas is pointing to an empirical fact, whether it's motion, a natural cause, a contingent being, perfection of some sort, or design. So all of these would be things that we can experience empirically. Point number 2. Aquinas argues that something cannot be the cause of itself. So motion must be put in motion by something already in motion. Or a natural cause has to be caused by a prior cause. Right? Something can't give rise to its own existence. It has to be caused by another, something that is already in existence. For example, to focus on the second way, Thomas writes, quote, "In the world of sense, we find there is an order of efficient causes. There is no known case in which a thing is found to be the efficient cause of itself. For so it would be prior to itself, which is impossible. Now, in efficient causes, it is not possible to go on to infinity, because in all efficient causes following in order, the first is the cause of the intermediate cause, and the intermediate cause is the cause of the ultimate cause, whereas the intermediate cause be several or only one. Now, take away the cause is to take away the effect. Therefore, if there be no first cause among efficient causes, there will be no ultimate nor any intermediate cause." End quote, and so on. So Thomas is arguing here from an empirical fact, from the fact that there are natural causes in the world. And because no one thing can be the cause of itself, a prior cause is required to bring it into existence. Well, this process can't go on into infinity. Point number 3, right? There can't be an infinite regress of causes. And what that means is that ultimately we have to come to a first cause. Otherwise, we're not really offering an explanation at all. We're simply just kicking the can down the road. So there has to be one cause to set the whole process in motion. And that cause, Aquinas argues, we should understand to be God. How about the third proof? Although each of the 5 ways tends to take this same form, you might be more inclined to think that one over the other is a better proof. So when I first started studying philosophy, I was very impressed with this third one here. So the third one deals with contingent being and necessary being. And in a way, it's similar to what Anselm was doing in chapters 3 and 4 of the Proslogion. So to quote Aquinas, he says, We find in nature things that are possible to be and not to be, since they are found to be generated and to corrupt, and consequently, they are possible to be and not to be. But it is impossible for these always to exist. For that which is possible not to be at some time is not. Therefore, if everything is possible not to be, then at one time there could have been nothing in existence. Now, if this were true, even now there would be nothing in existence, because that which does not exist only begins to exist by something already existing. End quote. So what Thomas is saying here is we observe that there are contingent beings in nature. There are beings that it's possible for them to be, and it's also possible for them not to be. So remember, a contingent being is one that's dependent upon something other than itself in order to exist. Just as you and I are dependent upon air and food and our parents to be here. And basically, we can't be the explanation or the cause of ourself. We're dependent upon something else to exist. Well, Aquinas argues that if there was ever absolutely nothing in the universe, no God, no cosmos, no man, logically speaking, there would be nothing right now. But the fact that there is something here right now, namely you and I, that in itself necessitates that there has to be a being that's not dependent upon something other than itself. And this in philosophy would be called a necessary being, right? A being that exists by its very nature, or a being that doesn't have to look to another being in order for it to be. It simply exists by its nature. And for Aquinas, this is what God is. He's a being that always exists, who exists by his very nature. So the fact that there are contingent beings, Aquinas concludes, necessitates that there be a necessary being, a being that can not only explain itself, but can give an explanation to every other being in the universe. So as Aquinas concludes in that third proof, quote, "Therefore we cannot but postulate the existence of some being, having of itself its own necessity, and not receiving it from another, but rather causing in others their necessity. This all men speak of as God." So basically what he's arguing that he thinks it's logically necessary, if there are contingent beings, which there are you and I, there has to be a necessary being. Otherwise, a contingent being could never give rise to itself. Okay, let's go to the fifth way, the argument from design. Well, no, we'll go to the fourth way. I don't want to skip that one. So, quote, "The fourth way is taken from the gradation to be found in things." So what Aquinas means here by gradation, think of it as a hierarchy, or a scale, or a chain of being, with the very greatest on top, all the way down to the very worst on the bottom. Among beings, Aquinas writes, there are some more and some less good, true, noble, and the like. But more and less are predicated of different things according as they resemble in their different ways something which is the maximum, as a thing is said to be hotter according as it more nearly resembles that which is hottest. So that there is something which is truest, something best, something noblest, and consequently something which is uttermost being. For those things that are greatest in truth are greatest in being. Now the maximum is any genus